What's going on? What's going on? Welcome back to the Great Game Challenge channel, or welcome to it. And we have something interesting to see, and I kind of want to do some investigating. So my dad's not here right now, but I've been wanting to do some investigating on this for a while. So I was on my phone and I was just watching some I was just scrolling through TikTok. You know how we do. And that's what people do. They just scroll through TikTok, and there was a TikTok that caught my eye, and it was a TikTok by Boom to Sports God. And I was curious before I watched the video. I was scrolling around on this page for a little bit to see what kind of person I was going to be meeting, because I knew it was a basketball TikTok. But after scrolling around on his page for a little bit, I discovered that he is a LeBron lover and thinks Michael Jordan is very overrated. Now, if you guys know me, I personally have Michael Jordan as number one. I think he's the GOAT of basketball, personally. Even though I think it is a hard call to make because of time errors and everything, I think that Michael Jordan is the GOAT, and I actually have LeBron ranked fourth, behind Michael. So it'd be like number one is Michael Jordan, two is Kareem, three is Hakeem, and four is LeBron James. Personally, that's where I have him ranked listed. So I was interested in why this guy thought that LeBron was so much better than Jordan. I forgot that there was a video too. So I watched the video, and I'll just show you the video right now. Here's what it said.
Y'all old heads keep telling me Mike had all this comp in the 90s. Let's check out the top 10 players of the 90s. Bleacher Report seems to be a reliable source. You know who's number one. But number two, Hakeem Olajuwon, probably the greatest two-way player we've ever seen, but he played in the West. Number three, David Robinson, he played in the West, Mr. Quadruple-Double, but he didn't have to see him in a 7-game series. Number four, Karl Malone, he played in the West. Scottie Pippen was his teammate. Yes, Jordan fans might play with a top 5 player. Number 6, Shaquille O'Neal. He was a rookie in the beginning of Mike's prime. Like he didn't see prom Shaq. Number 7, Charles Barkley, MVP, but he played in the West. Number 8, John Stockton, leader in steals and assists, but he played in the West. Number 9, Clyde Drexler, didn't have a left hand, but he played in the West. And number 10, Patrick Ewing, who was a choke artist and never won anything.
So, as you can see from the video, his points were that all of these amazing players that played in the 90s were either like played in the West, played with Michael Jordan, or other reasoning, like he listed for Shaquille O'Neal and Patrick Ewing, like he was saying Shaq was a rookie during Jordan's prime, so blah blah blah. It's just like he was just saying that kind of stuff, like reasonings why Mike didn't really play that much competition and why he shouldn't really be considered a GOAT. So those are some of the points he made. So it kind of made me wonder, though. He made me wonder something. But it was kind of making me wonder about LeBron. So if he's a LeBron, like, he didn't point anything out about LeBron. He didn't even say his name once in the entire he didn't say his name once in the entire TikTok. LeBron James. It made me wonder, can we say the same thing about him? Like, did he really play all this competition while he was in his prime? Was he playing all this competition? And before you say the prime thing, I have proof, though. I have some proof. Like I was saying, it made me wonder. But in the video, he was basing it off Mike's prime, and here's some proof of him saying something about Mike's prime in the video.
Number 6, Shaquille O'Neal. He was a rookie in the beginning of Mike's prime.
Yeah, so in the video, he was talking about how in Michael Jordan's prime, Shaq was a rookie and shouldn't be qualified as competition. So, I mean, I think, so he was basing all of this off of Mike's prime, which was in 1996, believed to be some. So I was curious. I was like, so now I knew exactly what to look up to make this fair. Because I knew that if I just did like rookie LeBron James, then it wouldn't be fair, because there was a lot more different competition. But since he was talking about Mike's prime, I knew it. So he was talking about 90s in general, by the way. So he looked up 90s. He didn't look up that year. He looked up 90s. So we got to find out LeBron James's prime, and then we got to look up that decade, and then we find whatever list we can find. Hopefully we find it from Bleacher Report, though, like I was saying. So I knew, like I said, I knew exactly what to do to make this fair. I looked up when LeBron James's prime was, and it was kind of a split decision. So between LeBron's 2012 and 2013 season with the Miami Heat in LeBron James' 2015 to 2016 year with the Cavs. So they were both in the 2010s era, that decade. They're both in the 2010s decade. So I knew what to look up. So I looked up the top 10 players in the 2010s era, since both debatable years of his prime took place in the 2010s decade. So I saw a Bleacher Report article of the top 50, but we're just gonna scroll down to the top 10. So this is the same website that Boom the Sports God or the TikToker used. He used Bleacher Report because he said it was a reliable source. I'm using Bleacher Report because he used it, and according to him, it's a reliable source. I actually think it is a reliable source myself, so we're gonna be using Bleacher Report for this. So let's go ahead and check it out. Now, I do want to say really quickly that the website. I do want to say really quick that they had Giannis Antetokounmpo ranked 11th and Kyrie ranked 12th on this list. Kyrie played with LeBron during the 2015-16 season, and he played for them before and after those years. He played with them with the Cavs. And yeah, but Giannis though, remember, this wasn't Giannis that we know today. This was Giannis like all slimmed up in 2016, and he wasn't even in the league. He wasn't even in the league, and he wasn't even in the league yet in the 2012 season. But let's go ahead and get to the list. Number 10, they had Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is a top 10 player in my opinion, and he is the greatest power forward of all time. He had a signature bank shot and was a great defender. I actually have him ranked 8 on my all-time list, but guess what? He played in the West. Remember the 2 years that people debate is LeBron's prime. Were the years that he played with the Heat and the Cavaliers, which are Eastern Conference teams. Now, that's what we're basing off of. See, that means that he played in a different conference than LeBron James, which was the same thing for Boom the Sports God's claim. Anyway, 9th we have Paul George. Now, hold on a second before you start making arguments at me or whatever, because Paul George did play in the East, I'll admit. 9th we have Paul George, who did play in the East, but just like Boom the Sports God said about Patrick Ewing, Paul George is also kind of a choke artist who never won anything. Both players didn't win any MVPs, and if we were talking about playoffs, yeah, Paul George made a couple conference finals appearances where he would go against LeBron for the most part, but he would lose. Patrick Ewing had made it to the NBA Finals in '94, while Jordan was playing baseball during that time against the Houston Rockets. You can also bring up that Paul George has sorry, I forgot. Also, remember, Jordan was retired for the first time playing. So if the Bulls actually played, it probably would have been a Rockets-Bulls finals right there. You can also bring up that Paul George has been an MVP candidate, but he wasn't the player. Yeah, he was an MVP candidate, but he wasn't with the Pacers. It was with the OKC Thunder, who was a team in the West, not Eastern Conference Paul George. So, yeah. Patrick Ewing is just a better player than Paul George. So to say that Ewing is a choke artist, you could probably say the same thing about Paul George. He never won anything either. At 8, they had Dwayne Wade, who was LeBron's teammate for most of LeBron's championships in the 2010s and wasn't very good once LeBron left Miami. At 7, they had Chris Paul, and Chris Paul was a great point guard for the Pelicans, Clippers, Rockets during the 2010s, which are all teams in the West. Russell Westbrook is number 6. The guy averaged a triple-double and won the MVP award. He played for the Oklahoma City Thunder during the 2010s, which is a team in the West. Next on the list, they had one of the greatest scorers of all time, James Harden, a 6th Man of the Year winner when he was on the Oklahoma City Thunder, and he hit his prime with the Houston Rockets, where he won an MVP and led the Rockets to several Western Conference Finals appearances, and should have had the Rockets in the finals against the Raptors if this play didn't happen. But whatever, I'm just a salty Rockets fan. Anyways, in the 2010s, James Harden played for OKC and the Houston Rockets, which are both teams in the Western Conference. Then at 4, we have Kawhi Leonard, who played with the Spurs for 90% of the 2010s era and even won a ring with the Spurs, beating the LeBron James-led Miami Heat in 2014. Sure, in 2019, Kawhi Leonard played for the Raptors and brought them a championship, but he only played on the Eastern Conference team for 1 year in the 2010s decade era. LeBron James played for the West 1 year in the 2010s, and it was with the Lakers in 2019, which was also the same year that they won the Raptors championship, like we just mentioned. And the LeBron-led Lakers didn't even make the playoffs, and they finished with a record of 37-45. Kawhi Leonard played 90% of the 2010s in the Western Conference with the Spurs, and when he went to the East after LeBron went to the West and did terrible, it's safe to say that Kawhi Leonard, while LeBron was in his prime, was in the East. Was in the East. LeBron was in his prime. LeBron was in the East. Kawhi was playing with the Spurs, which is in the West, and that was where we agreed LeBron's prime was. So we can say that Kawhi Leonard was in the Western Conference. Then at number 3, we had Stephen Curry, one of the greatest players in NBA history and the greatest shooter in NBA history. He has always been a part of the Golden State Warriors, which is a team in the West. Then at number 2 is Kevin Durant, the greatest scorer of all time, a 6'10" forward that can do it all. He can shoot, he can rebound, he can pass, block, and steal. He can do it all. He won an MVP during his prime in 2013 with the Oklahoma City Thunder and won some championships and finals MVPs with the Golden State Warriors. Both OKC and the Golden State Warriors are both teams in the West. And number 1 is LeBron, but we all knew that already. He was number 1. So what does this mean? Does this mean that LeBron is a bad player? And the answer is no. LeBron is a top 5 at the least and is an amazing player, but I don't think we can say he is better than Mike though. I'm also not saying to backlash and go to Boom the Sports God and just talk smack about him on how we made a video about him. He is a good TikToker and though I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that he says, I will still check him out and hear what he has to say. But to claim that Michael Jordan had played no competition in the 90s because the best players were in the West and he played in the East, we just did the exact same thing but with LeBron James. We even used the same article to prevent anyone from saying that Boom the Sports God used a reliable source, and I didn't. We both used Bleacher Report articles. Well, thank you guys for watching this video, and if you haven't already, and make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and if you could hit it, it would really mean the world to us. And we will see you guys next time. Have a nice day. Bye.